the world have made Britain home, giving us such an exciting and varied cuisine.
Today, you can find a little bit of Italy on every street corner, from pizzerias to coffee shops, all serving up traditional dishes and ingredients.
And you can find one of the best Italian delis in the world in Edinburgh.
Valvona Crolla is run by husband and wife team Philip and Mary Contini.
They are part of the thriving Scottish Italian community, which has been estimated to number over 35,000 people, and it's played a key role in the country's food heritage.
My grandfather, Alfonso Crolla, he emigrated from Italy and came to Edinburgh in 1910. The original Italians that came here either sold fish and chips or ice cream. And this original shop, in fact, was an ice cream shop. And he came here, he made ice cream here with his brother-in-law, and he lived in the dark basement of this shop. And when his wife and son came, they too lived in the basement.
Ah, ice cream.
Ah, fish and chips.
What better way to win favour with the locals than through their bellies?
Oh, well, it certainly works with me.
Before long, there were scores of Italian ice cream parlours and fish and chip shops springing up all over the Scottish countryside.
Alfonso Crolla settled in Edinburgh, and then what he did, as a lot of the Italians did in different parts of the UK, was to bring more of his family across, or his relations from the same village. So Alfonso brought across quite a few of his brothers, his cousins, and he actually brought across my grandfather and set him up in business down the coast in East Lothian, where our families had their business.
Fish and chips was the perfect business for the Italian incomers to Scotland. It was a relatively modern creation. The first stall had opened in London around 1860.
And the Italians' inherent love of food and good ingredients allowed them to spot the potential within the natural produce of Scotland.
Fantastic fish and perfect potatoes.
They quickly turned into food entrepreneurs and were responsible for building businesses all over Scotland.
Can you imagine in 1910 being able to eat something like dried fish and crispy potatoes? I mean, it must have just been a sensation. Of course, the Italians are very competitive, especially the ones who emigrated. So each family would settle in a village and want their ice cream and their fish and chips to be better than everyone else's. So the Scots got very high quality product from the beginning.
But whilst the ever-increasing Italian population were satisfying the Scottish appetite, they were missing many of their own tastes from back home, and Philip's grandfather saw a gap in the market.
This shop was established in 1934. It was changed from an ice cream shop into this Italian delicatessen. I would say that 75 years ago, 95% of our customers were Italian. It was initially just a tiny hole in the wall, packed high to the ceiling, as you can see now, with wine, cheese, salami, Parma ham, pasta.
And they used to sell the pasta in drawers by the pound, so they had lots and lots of drawers where you pulled out to get the shape of pasta that you wanted. And then they would get cheese from Italy and packages of sausages, which was a huge desire for all the Italians to get the product.
We imported coffee and we imported the raw beans and we roasted it here in the shop. And I guess this was happening all over the world where there were Italians. They were creating this, initially they created this coffee culture because they had to have their cup of coffee that they were used to back home in Italy. And of course now coffee is just, it's international, isn't it?
But it wasn't until after the war that the British, Scottish people started to come into the shops, because the soldiers who had fought in Italy, first of all against the Italians and then at the second half of the war with the Italians, they started to taste Italian food, and that's where it all started.
The post-war years would see the shop's appeal widen.
But again, it would be thanks to the birth of the package holiday that the market would really take off.
The change in the shop is to do with the Scots who then began to travel. and who were travelling on holiday to Italy and coming back, and they had tasted different kinds of pasta and different types of wine and cheeses, and they wanted more of the same. And so gradually the Scots were outnumbering the Italians who were buying from us. And our story is mirrored throughout Scotland and probably throughout Britain.
The deli has come a long way since Alfonso Crolla first arrived in Edinburgh over 100 years ago. But so has the British palate.
Visitors to the deli's restaurant and are very keen to eat food that perhaps their Scottish ancestors would have turned their noses up at.
And owner Mary still loves serving up all the finest local ingredients cooked in the traditional Italian way.
What we want to do today is celebrate the food that we ate when we were kids. And the fishermen used to leave langoustines at the back door for us, or even some squid, because the Scots didn't want to eat it then. This is talking about more than 40 years ago. And you speak to the fishermen now, they remember their fathers throwing them overboard. I mean, the langoustines from Scotland are better than anything. And we're going to prepare it now and fry it in olive oil, deep fried, and make a fritto misto. We'll also add some courgettes and just show you how wonderful Scottish produce is. Frying is really a good way of eating because it seals the flavour in, and if it's drained properly and you use good oil, it's a healthy way of eating. And it's very typical of Neapolitan street food, where you will even today see people on the side of the streets frying things just to feed passing people that are hungry.
The fritto misto that we do here in the cafe bar and that other Italian restaurants do is just an extension of that fish and chips. There's the heritage in Italy of deep frying fish. And so you can take any fish, any shellfish, and deep fry it, and just with that light batter, and just cook to a crisp, but keeping the fish moist. It's a stunning thing to eat.
And the last thing we would do is just sprinkle some sea salt, just to season at the very end.
Oh, fritto misto! It looks delicious.
The Scots-Italians are the luckiest of races because we have everything. We've got everything that we love from Italy here. We've got all the lovely ingredients from Scotland, which sometimes are even better than the Italian ingredients. And we've got the skills to make them taste good, so we are a bit spoiled.
Not quite as sunny though.
But who cares when you've got great food?